our fundamental liberties. Last week, Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe became the latest victim of cancel culture when Twitter permanently suspended his account after he exposed hypocrisy and fraud at CNN. Social media giants have been helping to drive the Biden radical agenda by canceling anyone who does not agree with it. Joining me right now is the man himself, the founder of Project Veritas is here, James O'Keefe. James, thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate your time this morning. Tell us what happened last week and what you're intending to do tomorrow.
Well, Maria, we were banned from Twitter. I was banned from Twitter. Twitter said I, quote, operated fake accounts. I've never operated a fake account in my life. So I sued Twitter for defamation in New York. This comes off the heels of our win in New York State, the Supreme Court of New York State, for defamation. We got past motion to dismiss, a landmark win in that libel lawsuit from Project Veritas versus the New York Times. More on that in a minute. But we released these series of videos on CNN showing the CNN director calling the network propaganda, saying they're trying to help paint Biden in a certain way to hurt Trump and get Trump out of office, help Black Lives Matter. So those CNN videos were trending #2 globally on Twitter. And then in the third videotape released, they yanked my Twitter account down and said that I was, quote, operating fake accounts. They also banned Project Veritas a month earlier, talking about Project Veritas was violating people's privacy rights for interviewing them in the street, while people who do impersonate me still remain on Twitter. So we're suing Twitter for defamation, Maria, and it's time to go on offense. It's time to use libel lawsuits to hold them accountable.
Well, you know, it's interesting because you have on tape Twitter saying that they wanted to get involved and affect an election. You also have that from Google, right? Do you actually have people at Google telling you on camera, we allowed Trump to win in 2016, we won't allow it again?
Yeah, that was an individual, Jen Janai, from 2019 we recorded, an executive high up in Google, talking about Trump, getting Trump out of office, making those statements. We use hidden cameras. We go undercover to expose these things. Also talking about algorithmic unfairness, which sounds like an Orwellian term. And this CNN director was saying things that do not surprise you. But those videos were doing the thing that Twitter was designed to do, which is, you know, empower citizen journalists. I was quoting CNN director Charlie Chester, and I was relaying to people what he told me. So the right of me to relay what I heard and accurately quote him, and they banned me for doing so. And they manufactured this reason I, quote, operated fake accounts. All this is in a lawsuit that we have filed in New York State. And again, for those of you who think I'm bluffing or these lawsuits don't matter, Project Veritas has never lost a lawsuit in our corporate history because we don't settle. We fight all the way to a jury verdict, and we have never lost. And we've gotten past this motion to dismiss, which is a terrible burden to meet in a defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. We're one of only a few plaintiffs in modern history to have accomplished that. And we want to know we want to depose Jack Dorsey under oath. We want to put these people through depositions and understand exactly what was going through their mind when they maliciously lied about me, saying I operate fake accounts.
Well, we know that right before the election, they banned the New York Post from reporting on the Hunter Biden story, which we all knew to be true. And we watched them ban the New York Post and the reporter on it. Look, we have a statement from Twitter. Let me call for that right now so that we can at least show what they're saying in the face of all of this, because a Twitter spokesperson said that we permanently suspended him for violating the Twitter rules on platform manipulation and spam, as outlined in our policy on platform manipulation and spam. Your thoughts on the Twitter statement on the banning of you? You can't mislead others on Twitter, they say, by operating fake accounts, and you can't artificially amplify or disrupt conversations through the use of multiple accounts. So they're sticking with their multiple accounts that you were operating.
My response is that Drew Griffin from CNN confronted a private resident on her lawn, did not blur the number on the house, and Drew Griffin at CNN still remains on Twitter. And Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, you banned Project Veritas for confronting the Facebook vice president in the street. That's what reporters do. So it's a double standard that's in our defamation lawsuit, and you manufactured this reason, quote, operating fake accounts. There are people on Twitter who are impersonating me who still remain on Twitter. under any standard, under your own standard, you have double standards. If there wasn't for double standards, you'd have no standards at all. And I will depose you under oath. I will get past this motion to dismiss in this libel lawsuit against you, and tomorrow I will sue CNN for defamation because of what Ana Cabrera said on the air about Project Veritas a month ago. CNN host saying that we spread disinformation. We were banned for that. Not even Twitter alleges that I was banned or Project Veritas was banned for disinformation. So people every day in this country, people are defamed and lied about constantly, and they don't have the will, the money, the resources to fight back. So Veritas is going to be the tip of that spear. And again, the New York Times lawsuit is a big deal because Facebook banned our voter fraud videos in Minneapolis because the New York Times said that I was deceptive and part of a disinformation campaign. Now, a judge in New York State said the New York Times was engaging in deception by reporting an opinion in a news article and the implications of this for tech. Since Facebook and Twitter partner with CNN and the New York Times, the implications are staggering. And it's very important a lot of people start suing these people for libel. And you'll see that CNN lawsuit filed tomorrow.
Well, you know, it's extraordinary because the Democrats set the narrative, and then what has been the case is the media, the mainstream media anyway, picks up the mantle and runs with it. We talked about this with Stephen Miller on this program last week. Do you think that government is more powerful or big tech is more powerful? It feels like big tech has become more powerful and dominant than anyone expected when Section 230 was first put into the Telecom Act of 1996. Here's what Stephen Miller says should be done while the Republicans are still in the minority to be ready for when they take the majority he expects in 2022. Listen to Stephen Miller on Section 230.
We need to modernize regulations to say that those social media entities are public utilities for general use, and they cannot discriminate against Americans based on their religion, based on their political views, based on what they believe. That is a fundamental reform that we should campaign on, and the moment we have the chance, pass it into law.
James, Justice Clarence Thomas really set the tone for big tech. He says it needs to be regulated like public utilities. You can't just exclude people from your services. You said you're suing CNN tomorrow?
Yes, I'm suing them for defamation. And Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, there's really no legal theory in the United States to hold or to sue Twitter because of that exemption. But Maria, this is a different issue. This is what Twitter and CNN said publicly about me. There are libel laws, and they're difficult to win in a lawsuit. But going back to New York Times versus Sullivan, 1964, I have to prove actual malice because I'm a public figure, that they knowingly lied about me, and I will meet that burden. I don't know what the solution is for 230 per se, but I think a lot of people need to unite here and understand just the fundamental principles here, that I was quoting somebody and relaying what it was they told me, and I was banned for that, and Twitter manufactured a reason. So Section 230 may have protected Twitter before. It will not protect them from me. You cannot have a reckless disregard for the truth and defame people, and the media gets away with it, and I would consider Twitter getting away with it in this case. I will sue them, and we will win just like we've won every other lawsuit, and people need to stick together. We need to have distribution by proxy. You need to go on Telegram, follow me, download the clips, and put them into your Twitter.
All right, James, we will be watching all of this. Thanks very much for walking us through it this morning. We'll see you soon. James O'Keefe is the founder of Project Veritas.